The war was declared lost, but one pilot didn't get the memo. As Major Reyes powers up her A-10 for an unauthorized mission over the ridge, everything is on the line. Her career, her commander's trust, and the fate of her comrades. Where are you watching from tonight? Drop your location in the comments and buckle up. This flight's going beyond orders. The sky looked like rust. Out past the wire, the horizon flickered with fire and smoke, burning fuel, shattered steel, and what was left of the 14th Mech Division. The ground shook in dull, steady thumps. Artillery. Closer every minute. Major Arden Reyes squinted toward the ridge. Dust storms rolled off it like smoke from a dying beast. No birds. No wind. Just heat and noise. Her A-10 sat behind her, scarred from yesterday's run. The armor had held, but barely. She checked the underwing cannon herself. Couldn't trust the ground crew, they were half dead from exhaustion. Lieutenant J. Kim walked up, biting into a cracked protein bar. He offered her the other half. Care for a luxurious, 3-star breakfast, he said around a mouthful. Tastes like punishment. I'll pass, Reyes muttered, eyes still on the ridge. Come on, Phoenix. You gotta eat something before we ride into fiery oblivion. We're not flying today. Kim blinked. What? She tapped the comms piece on her helmet. Cole just broadcast orders. Hold for retreat. Do not engage. That means we're grounded. Kim looked at the A-10, then back to her. We're sitting this out? Looks like it. From the makeshift command tent, angry voices hissed through the static. HQ was arguing with forward command again. She caught pieces, words like capitulation, no reinforcements, air corridor compromised. The wounded lay in shade, their eyes already dimmed. One of the medics tore a sheet into strips. The front bunker's machine gun had gone silent. Ammo gone, or the last gunner finally gave in. Reyes pulled out a small rag and wiped her hands. Her fingers trembled, just barely. She clenched a fist and it stopped. Kim said nothing. He just stood beside her, chewing slow. Then Cole's voice crackled into her helmet, sharp and tired. All air units, stand down. Prepare for fallback. Repeat, hold for retreat. Do not engage. We've lost the pass. Reyes looked over at the smoking trail that stretched from hill to ridge, what used to be a road. Now it was a funnel for death. You couldn't see the enemy yet. But they were out there. Massing. Watching. Waiting. Generals giving up, Reyes said under her breath. Kim half laughed. Maybe he knows something we don't. Or maybe he's just too high up to see what's really happening down here. A distant rumble rolled across the dirt. Tanks or mobile artillery, hard to tell through the haze. But it was coming from over that damn ridge. Kim swallowed the last of his bar. How long you figure we've got? She didn't answer. Just stared at the slope ahead. He stepped closer, voice low. We could still light them up. Hit them hard before they know we're coming. We've been ordered to stand down. Yeah. Doesn't mean we're supposed to die quiet. She looked at him then. Really looked. Dirt caked his cheek. Eyes tired, but not broken. Not yet. She turned back toward the A-10. The cannon gleamed dully in the sunlight. Somewhere beyond that ridge was the end of the war. One way or another. The sky was meat gray when Reyes took the A-10 up for a recon run. The air felt thick, heavy in her chest even with oxygen flow. Below them, bomb craters made the valley look like it had been chewed through. Eyes up, Jay, she said, tapping the glass as clouds of grit whipped past the canopy. Keep to low band scans. Kim flipped switches. Standard patterns. No signals west. Ridge is clean, according to Intel. She grunted. Intel's playing catch up again. They passed over the ridge slow and low, below radar ceiling. The sensors buzzed as they swept the terrain, a flat wash at first, nothing out there but rocks and heat shimmer. Then Reyes caught the edges of movement. Shapes. Not running. Not scattered. Parked. Shielded. Waiting. Hold up, she said, pulling the stick gently left. Back over that cluster. Kim adjusted the scanner. You seeing something? She zoomed in through the scope. Tanks. Half covered in sand netting. Mobile artillery, tucked behind natural formations. Supply trucks, their camo near perfect. And beyond them, she caught glimpses of dark shapes moving in formation. Not pulling out. Not retreating. They were digging in. That's a full armor battalion, she said. Maybe more. Trucks are loaded. They're ready to move, soon. No way that's just a support group, Kim said. They're aiming directly at the pass. Reyes's voice tightened. They punch through that pass, we lose the line, the radio tower, medevac. Everything. She hit comms. Eagle Base, this is Phoenix 1-9er. We've got heavy enemy armor massed on the far ridge, prepping a breakthrough. Coordinates tagging now. HQ buzzed back a few seconds later, bored and busy. Phoenix 1-9er, command sees no significant movement in that grid. Possible deception force. Divert to patrol pattern Delta. Do not engage. Reyes blinked hard. They've got tanks under camo and artillery in overwatch. This is not a decoy. Orders stand. Command considers the ridge compromised. All craft, prepare for fallback. Repeat, retreat authorized. Kim looked at her. They think it's over. Maybe it is, she said. Then looked again at the screen. The heat signatures were slowly shifting, engines warming. The enemy was getting ready to roll. She jerked into the mic again. General Cole, this is Major Reyes. I'm telling you now, if they breach that pass, we won't have a fallback. We'll have a funeral. There was a long hiss of static, and then Cole's voice came through, flat. Phoenix, I respect your instincts. But the war's cost us too much. Reinforcements aren't coming. We live to fight another day. That's an order. The comm line went dead. Up in the sky, Reyes leaned back in silence. Kim kept scanning quietly. The A-10 hummed under them like a sleeping dog ready to wake. Then Kim asked, softly, you believe they're coming through the pass? She nodded once. He clicked his harness tighter. Then we should have never flown back home. Reyes said nothing. She banked the A-10 east, toward base. But her eyes stayed on the ridge. Reyes sat on a cracked ammo crate, elbows on knees, helmet hanging loose in her grip. The wind had picked up, dry and restless, dragging sand across the runway like a warning. Out past the wire, the ridge stood still under a dying sky. Red dust. Black smoke. The same as before. She stared at it hard, like it might blink first. Kim dropped down beside her, pulled out a dented canteen, and took a sip. Want some? She shook her head. They sat like that for a minute, just letting the heat press down on them. Then, he said it. Quiet, careful. You thinking about Vega? Reyes didn't look over. Just stared at the ridge. She trusted me, she said. Gave her full trust. I gave her the wrong grid. Didn't double-check with ground. She went in blind. Fog of war, Kim offered, soft. No, Reyes snapped. Not angry at him, at herself. No fog. Just arrogance. I thought I saw the whole board. Turned out I only saw a piece. She finally turned to face him. Her voice was even, but her eyes were hard. This is the same ground, Jay. Same kind of terrain. Same intel telling us nothing's there. And I feel it again. I feel the bad call coming. He rubbed a thumb along a scorch mark on his glove. So stop it. We saw what we saw. Go back up. Hit them before they move. I can't. You mean you won't? Reyes stood suddenly, the helmet swinging low at her side as she took a few slow steps forward. Her back to him. If I'm wrong again, she said. Silence. Then, Kim spoke. If you disobey, again, there's no going back. You know that, right? She turned around. Her voice came out tight. Not shaken, strained. If we do nothing, she nodded toward the tents, the broken transports, the wounded coughing dry in the hot shade. No one comes back. She looked at the A-10 across the runway. Its nose dipped slightly like it was sleeping, waiting. Her name still stenciled by the cockpit, Phoenix. For a second, her foot shifted that way. A single, hesitant step. Then she stopped. The memory hit hard. Vega's voice in her headset. The static. The scream. The silence. Reyes clenched her jaw. Her hand curled around the helmet, knuckles white. And she turned away. Get some rest, she said over her shoulder. Kim stood slowly but didn't follow. Reyes. She kept walking. We've got orders. Let command handle it. She didn't believe that. Not for a second. But right now, her head was losing the war her gut was trying to start. Behind her, the wind picked up again. Somewhere past that ridge, the tanks were still waiting. And all she could do was walk away. For now. The blast shook Reyes out of half-sleep. She sat up fast, heart pounding. Outside the tent, alarms wailed. Dust filtered through the fabric. Another dull boom rolled through the air like thunder from underground. She pulled on her boots without thinking. Outside, the sky was dark, but the fire made silhouettes dance over the sand. The forward base's fuel depot had been hit, black smoke wormed its way into the stars. Soldiers ran between cover. Medics kneeled by bodies. Someone yelled, "Clear that lane." Another voice screamed, "Where the hell is evac?" Reyes watched two stretcher-bearers carry a burned corporal past her. The soldier was groaning, eyes wide open but seeing nothing. "Help us," whispered one of the medics as she passed Reyes. "Start something. Please." The words hit deeper than they should have. Reyes stood still, jaw tight, watching flames curl up beside the far bunker. The same one Vega's unit once sheltered in. The same one that should have never been hit. She turned, slow. The A-10 sat quiet under a tarp at the edge of the runway. Dust covered its nose. No one was watching it. Her boots moved before her brain caught up. Inside the hangar, everything creaked like it didn't want to wake up. She flicked switch after switch. Lights glowed green. Engines rumbled low. She breathed them in like oxygen. Behind her, the ladder clanged once. "Tell me I'm dreaming," said Kim's voice in the dark. "You're not," Reyes replied, still looking forward. "Fuel lines green?" He blinked. "You're out of your mind." "Fuel lines?" Kim sighed and slid into the back seat. "Fuel lines green. Weapons armed. Navigation, suicidal." Outside, a small team ran past. One of them turned, saw the A-10 powering up, and did a double take. But no one stopped them. "Not this time. Cole's gonna court-martial you for this," Kim murmured. "Maybe," Reyes said. "If he's still alive in the morning." She lifted the comms mic, but didn't switch to command. "Local channel only. Phoenix calling all receivers," she whispered. "We're eyes up, heading for the ridge. Expect resistance." No one answered. Didn't matter. The A-10 rolled onto the dark runway. The stars had all gone quiet. Just the low hum of turbines and the growling voice of a machine built to drag hell across the ground. Reyes looked once toward the field hospital. Faces turned to watch them lift off, eyes wide, maybe in disbelief. Then she looked toward the ridge. Black. Massive. Untouched by the firelight, as if it had been saving something worse. "I'm not making the same mistake twice," she said, and pushed the throttle forward. The night swallowed the A-10 as it rose low over the burning earth. And behind it, the war, forgotten for a moment, held its breath. The ridge rose in front of them like a sleeping giant, dark and jagged against the stars. Reyes flew low, just feet above the ground, letting the A-10's shadow blend into the slope. Her hands worked the stick gently, feeling every twitch of the wind. "Radar's blind," Kim whispered. "Terrain masking is holding. They don't see us." "They will," Reyes said. "They always do." As they cleared the final rise, the valley opened beneath them, wide, flat, broken by rocks and dry creek beds. And in the middle of it, exactly where they'd seen it during the recon, the convoy. Dozens of armored tanks, troop carriers, mobile artillery. Parked in clean rows. Camo nets draped, diesel smoke curling faintly in the air. Waiting for the go order. They weren't waiting anymore. Some engines were already hot. Artillery crews stood by their gear. With sunrise close, the enemy clearly thought they'd been missed, or let through. "Not tonight." "Targeting live," Kim said. "Selecting high-yield munitions. Let's wake him up." Reyes flipped a switch. The A-10's cannon whined to life, that deep mechanical sound like a beast clearing its throat. And then, she fired. The first strafing run ripped through the lead formation, uranium shells tearing metal like wet paper. A tank turret launched 20 feet into the air. Fuel trucks lit up like bonfires. Alarms howled across the valley. The enemy was very much awake now. "Second run, 30 degrees left," Reyes shouted. She banked hard, the A-10 hugging the ground as missiles chased out and found more targets, command posts, AA batteries, moving trucks trying to turn and scatter. "Hit confirmed," Kim said. Their comm nets flaring up, full panic mode. On the third pass, black dots lifted rapidly into the sky. Kim cursed. "Drones. Suicide type. 24. They're fast. They're pissed." Reyes didn't wait. She rolled the A-10 into a steep dive, hugging the ridgeline again as gunfire sprayed after them. Warning beeps hit her ears hard. The drones adjusted, chasing low, hungry for her exhaust. "Spooling up jammers," Kim said, hands flying across the panel. "Give me cover, lure them into the rocks." Reyes narrowed her eyes. "Copy that." She yanked left, brushing the edge of a stone outcrop, low enough to kick up dirt. Drones followed, two clipping hard against the ledge and vanishing in light. The others split formation. Beeping intensified. One locked on. Kim snarled. "Too close, hold steady, now." He hit the jammer. The screen flickered. Drones spun midair, blinded, several dropped straight into the ground, detonating in sharp bursts of flame. "Still got 5 on tail," Reyes said. "But they're scattered." Enemy artillery flashed from the far end of the valley. Ground shook. Shells came screaming up. Reyes didn't flinch. "Kim. Mark fallback route?" "Already on it." "Then we're not done here." She banked for one last pass, and flew straight into the fire. Behind her, the convoy burned like a furnace. But the war was far from over. The last tank exploded into a rising ball of fire. Reyes pulled up hard, breathing heavy, eyes burning from smoke and sweat. The valley glowed behind them, wreckage, melting steel, black plumes pushing toward the sky like broken towers. "That's it," Kim said. "Convoy crippled. Artillery knocked out. They're blind." "We did it," Reyes whispered back. She felt no joy. Just the quiet hum of purpose fading. Then the alarm screamed. "Locked, left side, incoming." "Missile tracking," Kim shouted. "Low altitude. East Ridge." Reyes yanked the stick. Too late. The shock tore through the left wing, bright flash, sparks, grinding metal. The A-10 bucked, shook, tilted hard. Smoke filled the cockpit. Red blinking lights everywhere. "Fuel's gone, engines dying," Kim said. "We've got maybe 30 seconds of glide. Find somewhere flat." Reyes scanned the terrain, barely saw anything beyond the blur of rock and dust. Trees. Dirt. A ditch. No runways. Just survival. "Brace," she yelled. When they hit, the impact threw her forward, shoulders slammed into controls. The nose skidded through rock, tore past scrub brush, and finally snapped sideways with a gut-wrenching crunch. Everything went quiet except for the hiss of smoking metal. She blinked. Blood in her mouth. Her harness felt like iron across her chest. "Kim," she coughed. "Talk to me." "Still here," he groaned. "Every part of me hates you, but still here." Outside, the fire from the wreck sounded like boiling oil. "Comms?" she asked, pulling herself loose. Kim tapped his headset, hit the panel. "Dead. Burned out. Backup's fried too. We're dark." Reyes looked toward the open field beyond the wreck. Enemy territory. Close. They hadn't been seen yet, but it was only a matter of time. "We need to move." They grabbed what gear they could, salvaged maps, sidearms, a handheld radar unit with half a screen. Reyes glanced back at the A-10, smoking and broken. It had taken them this far. No further. They started walking. At the forward base, the sun was rising, smoke trails drifting overhead. The aftermath of the artillery strike was everywhere, damaged runways, cratered bunkers, burning supply stacks. Inside command, General Darian Cole stared at a blank screen. "Phoenix went dark," his aide said. "No signal since the last engagement." "Survivors?" Cole asked. "No beacons. Wreckage possibly spotted outside friendly range." "Sir, they're gone." Cole stepped back from the terminal. All around him, officers packed maps, burned documents. He gave the evacuation order. "She went rogue," one of the younger captains muttered. "Skipped the chain, pushed too far." "She was trying to save our asses," someone else said from across the room. Cole looked out at the empty ridgeline. "That may be true," he said quietly. "But she started a clock we can't stop now. And command doesn't forgive disobedience." Reyes sat behind a dead tree, watching the horizon. No choppers. No support. No signal. Kim sat beside her, wrapping his bleeding arm. He didn't speak. Neither did she. The war had moved on. And officially, they didn't exist anymore. The smoke from their crash burned all night. By morning, Reyes and Kim had moved 2 clicks southeast, half limping, half crawling through thorn brush and dry creek beds. Dust stuck to the sweat on their faces. Flies buzzed. Blood crusted on Kim's sleeve. "How's your arm holding?" Reyes asked as they struggled over a low ridge. "Hurts like hell." "Not enough to stop me yelling at you later," Kim muttered. "Good. I was worried." They dropped behind a rock outcrop and sat for a minute. Reyes scanned the open land through cracked binoculars. Enemy patrols were scattered along the valley floor. Infantry. Drones. Cleanup teams. They were looking for survivors. Kim pulled a small comms pack from his rucksack. One of the few pieces salvaged from their wreck and repaired during the night. "This thing's limited," he said. "Range is trash. Command won't hear us, if they're even listening." "Won't matter," Reyes replied. "We're not talking to them yet." She pulled a drive from inside her vest pocket. It was blackened, chipped on the edge, but the data light still blinked. "Pulled it from one of the recon trucks I blew up," she said. Shortwave logs. Enemy battle planning, whole column chatter. They were prepping for a full push through the pass. All units. Heavy armor. Resupply too. Like they expected no resistance. Kim raised his eyebrows. "This is proof?" "This is vengeance," she said. "This is how we show them we were never rogue. We were right." He plugged the drive into the patched signal box, tuning between enemy channels until they found a thin, static-laced wave. Enemy post-action reports, movement changes, chatter about delays, missing units, blown supply convoys. Reyes listened, brows furrowed. The voices weren't victorious. They were scrambling. They're confused, she said. Lost key formations. Missed their time window to break through the pass. That means we bought time, Kim said. Maybe days. She nodded. Maybe enough. She keyed the mic, voice quiet but sharp. Any coalition unit, this is Phoenix. Repeat, Phoenix. Read my signal. Enemy offensive through Ridge Sector 09 has been crippled. I repeat, crippled. Data packet attached. Enemy planning files included. Pass this to command. We are alive. She let go of the mic. The light blinked. Then again. Transmission bounced, signal weak but steady. For a moment, nothing. The desert stretched silent and hot, dust spinning in the light wind. Kim leaned back, resting his head on the rock. Think they got it? Don't know, Reyes said. Don't care. She looked across the valley, scouts deeper in, the enemy rebuilding, uncertain of next moves. Her boots were bleeding through at the toes. Her hands shook a little. But her eyes were clear. We didn't just slow them down, she said softly. We wrecked their shot. The whole damn offensive. Kim gave a short laugh that turned into a pained wheeze. You think Cole would believe that? Reyes smirked. He doesn't have to believe it. He just has to hear it. And somewhere out there, a signal flickered through the dark. The forward command post looked more like a graveyard, half the tents sagging, gear abandoned, smoke drifting through bullet-ripped canvas. Fires burned low around the edges. Reyes limped into the outer perimeter, one arm wrapped in a torn sling, dirt and dried blood streaking her face. Kim was just behind her, leaning on a broken rifle as a crutch. A soldier raised a weapon. Halt! Reyes didn't stop. She held up the data drive, her voice hoarse. Major Reyes. Alive. With intel. Before anyone could answer, another soldier recognized her. That's Phoenix, he muttered. She made it back. They were led into the ops tent, dim light, hushed voices, worn-out command staff. General Cole stood over a table with satellite maps and fuel burn reports. He was older than she remembered, maybe just colder. We don't have the numbers, he said, gesturing to the map. Air Command pulled back. Enemy tanks are regrouping. From this position, there's no path forward. There is now, Reyes said from the doorway. Cole turned. His eyes flicked to the drive in her hand, back to her torn flight suit. You shouldn't be here, he said, voice flat. You disobeyed every chain of command. I had to, Reyes snapped. And it worked. She slammed the drive onto the table. Enemy chatter confirms it. The Ridge assault is wrecked. Their armor's gone, comms are scattered, and their timetable is dead. That pass wasn't lost. We held it just long enough. Cole looked at her. Quiet. Tired. Thinking. Slowly, he picked up the drive and slipped it into the nearest console. The screen lit. Enemy pathing. Convoy orders. Supply routes. Stalled units. Dates and timestamps. Everything she said, confirmed. How did you survive? He asked slowly. Barely, she answered. But we did. And the fight's not done. A young tech stepped closer. Sir, if these grid positions hold, we can launch a strike. Clean up what's left of that Ridge force before reinforcements arrive. We don't have the air power, Cole said. You do, Reyes said. One ship. Maybe two. Give me one A-10. Any bird that flies. Cole stared at her. Long measured. And for the first time, he nodded. The sun hung low as Reyes walked across the runway toward a beat-up A-10. The paint was faded, scorched black across one side. A dozen patch marks along the wing. She ran her hand along the hull. You ugly son of a bitch. Kim arrived, now bandaged, limping less. He gave her a look. "You sure you can fly that thing?" "No," she said. "But I'm flying it anyway." Others began lining up, ground crew, pilots, support staff. A second A-10 rolled out beside her. Then another. Chief techs rallied what air they'd held back, and soon, 3 old birds stood ready. Cole's voice came over the radio. "All call signs, this is General Cole. The fight resumes. Follow Phoenix. Over the ridge, light the sky." Reyes climbed into the cockpit, heart steady. She lit the engines. And rose, leading 3 warthogs into the glowing fire of dawn. The sky turned orange as Reyes brought her A-10 around for another pass. Below her, the ridge was crawling with fire and broken steel. The surprise strike had hit the enemy hard, convoys shattered mid-crossing, tanks trying to turn back on narrow roads, supply trucks jackknife it in panic. Phoenix 1 to ground teams, enemy lines in retreat. "Hit the flanks. Push them from the ridge," she said into the radio. General Cole's voice came back, steady now, alive in a way it hadn't been for days. "Copy, Phoenix. Armor groups are rolling. Infantry advance in progress. Let's finish what you started." Around her, 2 more A-10s peeled off in formation, unleashing cannon fire that stitched through enemy carriers. The valley below became chaos. Enemy fighters scrambled from the far treeline, late, confused. Reyes saw their formations falling apart. Some groups halted. Others fled in opposite directions. Reyes gritted her teeth. "They don't know what's happening," she said. "We broke their plan, and now they're breaking each other." Kim's voice came over her headset from the second bird. Intercepted chatter's a mess. Multiple commanders screaming orders at once. Some units aren't even responding. Total collapse. The enemy's coordinated assault, carefully planned for weeks, was dead on impact. On the ground, coalition armor punched through burned-out pathways once held under enemy control. Drones dropped from the sky like swatted insects. Cole's tanks barreled forward, crushing wreckage under their treads, flags waving off antennas again. Back in the command post, Cole watched the live feed streaming from air recon units. Radios buzzed with field reports. Sector 4 secure. Convoy disabled. Enemies running. We've got wounded incoming, but they're ours. He stood over the comms table as if it were a rising tide. She held the pass long enough, he murmured to no one. Damn it, she gave us a shot. Behind him, aides who had already packed for evacuation began unfolding maps again. From above, Reyes saw soldiers, hers, climbing the ridge now, waving up at the sky as her squadron flew overhead. She opened her comms. This is Phoenix 1. Ridge secure. Repeat. Ridge is secure. A cheer went up on the radio, raw and joyful. She exhaled and leaned back in the seat. Her hands still shook. Her side burned where the harness rubbed raw skin. But the sky felt bigger now. The weight had shifted. Kim, she said, voice barely above a whisper. We just turned a funeral into a fight. His laughter, breathy, ragged, came through her headset. Damn right we did. She glanced back at the scorched trail they'd carved across the field. The enemy wasn't gone, not by a long shot. But they were running now. Broken, bleeding, turning on themselves in a panic. And for the first time in weeks, the war no longer felt like dying slowly. It felt like something else entirely. Hope. The ridge looked quiet now. In the days after the battle, they cleared out the wreckage and set up a new forward post. Tents returned. Radios buzzed again. The air still smelled like ash and oil, but the silence had changed. It didn't feel like waiting to die anymore. It felt earned. Major Arden Reyes sat on the edge of a supply crate, outside a small field office. Her flight suit was open at the collar, dust streaked up her sleeves. Her hand turned something over slowly, a pair of worn dog tags, the letters almost rubbed smooth. Vega, L. She stared at them for a long time, her thumb brushing the surface like she was trying to feel her old wingmate's voice instead of just the metal. Footsteps crunched behind her. She didn't look up. "You're walking quieter these days," Reyes said. General Cole came to a stop beside her. Hands behind his back. He looked across the ridge too, his face set but softer than usual. "I figured you'd be back in the air by now," he said. "Just came down," she replied. "Needed quiet." He nodded. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, "I'm not here on orders," Cole said. "No official paperwork. No medals. Not yet." "Makes sense," she said. "Still technically a traitor, right?" "No," he said. "You're reinstated. Effective immediately." Command's words, not mine. She let out a small breath. Not a laugh, not relief. Something quieter. "Can't decide if that's a reward or just a way to keep me flying," she said. "Both," Cole said. "You gave us a second chance. That's something commanders rarely admit they need." He looked down at the tags in her hands. "She flew with you long?" he asked. Reyes nodded. 2 tours. She always corrected my headings. Even when I didn't ask. "And you think you failed her?" She didn't answer. Just looked at the tags, then slid them gently into her chest pocket. "I think I got her killed," she said flatly. Cole didn't argue. Didn't make speeches. "Instead," he said, "I've carried names too. Some heavier than others. You don't stop feeling it. But you learn to carry it for them, not just because of them." Reyes nodded once, quietly. Then, eyes still on the horizon, she muttered, "That ridge." Cole followed her gaze. The slope still bore black scars and twisted metal. But it held strong. "That ridge saved us," he finished. "Because you didn't listen." She looked at him, finally. "So ignoring you's a job now?" "Don't push it," he said, cracking the faintest grin. Cole straightened his posture. "I should go," he said. "Plenty of fires to put out." Reyes offered a dry smile. "Tell command I said you're welcome." He nodded and walked away into the light. Alone again, Reyes leaned back on the crate and looked up. Somewhere above, the sky waited. The war wasn't won. Not yet. But for the first time, she believed it could be. And sometimes, that was enough to fight for.